Hey, what's up, guys? We're gonna do a little tarot today. Whenever I was sitting and getting ready for this, I planned on this is essentially a practice run for my lives that are gonna start. We're either gonna do weekly or bi-weekly, and I was gonna run through all of the signs. But whenever I was sitting and meditating on what we were gonna do today, I actually received that we were going to do a collective message of sorts, and that would actually resonate with the people that it needed to. So we're going to dive in to that. We're going to utilize a few different decks for those messages, and then I'm just going to tell you what I see. And then at the end, we will do a couple advice animal cards, and hopefully that'll either give you something that you can work on, or ideally tie the message of the reading all together. Okay, so we're gonna start with Tattoo Tarot. I'm gonna go ahead and pull about 3 cards from here and just get some overall energy, and then we will go with some clarifying from there. I'm going to use the Crowley deck, going to use the Rider-Waite, that's a personal favorite of mine, and maybe a couple others depending on what we see and what we think we need to do. So, I hope all of you guys get something out of this. And I know any of you that watch tarot online, you've heard the spiel before. You know, take what resonates. It's not going to be for everyone. Yada yada yada. If it doesn't fit, don't make it fit. All of that good stuff. So I'll try not to bore you with too much of that, because chances are you've heard that exact thing 1,000 times. So use the messages that are for you only. We got 7 of Swords, Ace of Cups, Knight of Cups. Okay. Go ahead and get 3 more to kind of clarify those messages and see what we're working with here. Like I said, guys, I'm going to be trying to do, I was planning on going live today, but apparently there's like a 24-hour waiting period the first time you go live or something like that. So I'm kind of new to this whole thing, so I'm kind of just winging it as we go. Originally on this channel, we were going to start straying away from the tarot side of things, only for the fact that I felt like the space was kind of saturated. However, after further meditation on that, 7 of Pentacles, I realized that whether it's a saturated space or not, people have, you know, their favorite readers. There's different styles of reading, and Knight of Wands. And that just because the space was saturated, and then we got the 4 of Cups and the Page of Wands. Just because the space was saturated, that was no reason for me to not do what I enjoy doing. So I think the plan going forward is to kind of do a live format either once a week or twice a week. So if you like the way that I read, then feel free to follow or like, subscribe, whatever you want to call it. But we will essentially try to do that at least every other week. So something to keep in mind. I'm going to get 2 more cards here. Appreciate your patience while I get these cards out. There's one. The Universe. It's essentially the World card. And then also got the Princess of Swords, the Queen of Swords, in other words. And let's get 1 more here, and then I will start dissecting what I see here. Okay, Dominion. It's a unique card to the Crowley deck. Alright guys, so what I'm seeing here is in kind of the past, I'm going to kind of look at this as the past, moving towards right now, and then kind of what I see in the future. Um, so in the past, that I see you guys walking away from something or kind of turning your back on something that you have put a lot of work in, and with the Princess of Swords making an appearance here, there could have been someone here that maybe you weren't seeing eye to eye. And keep in mind, guys, I'm not going to focus on necessarily relationships or career or anything specific. The way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to read the energies that I see, and then you guys, it's your job to have discernment in these readings. You don't want to paint as a reader, at least when I'm doing like a general collective message, I don't want to paint too specific of a picture. This will allow the message to resonate with more people, and it will also allow you to kind of put in some interesting components that are unique to your situation, and then kind of just apply those energies where you see them representing your life. Okay? So, something you put a lot of work into, there may have been someone that you didn't see eye to eye with. I see that we're kind of wanting to move away from this situation. We're seeing that our energy could be better spent elsewhere. Not necessarily that this was a waste of time. Actually, quite the contrary. I see that those of you that invested this time, you actually got quite a bit out of it, whether it was wisdom, whether it was knowledge, whether it was some sort of intuitive understanding of how to apply these lessons that you've learned moving forward into the future. Then in the present energy, we have the World, the Ace of Cups, and the Knight of Wands. So I see you guys kind of using whatever didn't quite fit what it was that you were trying to do here in the past. I see you manifesting that in a different way. And like I said, the lessons learned, the disappointment, the time spent, it was, although it may have been irritating to walk away from this, I think most of you are choosing to look at it as a learning experience rather than simply a failure or something that didn't work out. And I actually applaud you for having that. That's a very mature way of looking at things. And oftentimes when something that we put a lot of work into, when it doesn't quite pan out the way that we want, we have a tendency to kind of have this blaming energy, but whether that's on ourselves or on others. And I don't see that here. So very mature of you guys to kind of take the good with the bad in a way. And I see a lot of like transmutation going on to where you're taking things that did work, you're taking things that didn't work. Regardless, your time spent was not wasted, and I see you manifesting that into something a lot more profound. And with the Ace of Cups here and the Knight of Wands, we're getting like emotion and we're getting passion as well. And then the Universe, the World card, kind of just concluding the idea or wrapping together the idea of that there was some sort of cycle that you have decided to close out. And on top of that, the Ace of Cups along with the World card, obviously a promise of new beginning, and with the Knight of Wands kind of tying those two energies together, I see you really pursuing this with a lot of passion. And I see that you're not afraid to dive into whatever situation this is. And I think that we can contribute a lot of that to this past energy of really working hard and really kind of being discerning in the fact of, you know, certain things are working for me, certain things aren't, and not getting caught up in the negativity of, oh man, this didn't work out, but rather saying to yourself, hey, now I know, now I'm ahead of the game, I've messed up, yeah, or this person didn't quite meet my expectations, or this situation didn't quite meet my expectations, but it's not a total loss. And in fact, I'm going to use those lessons learned, and I'm going to start stepping into something much greater. So looking really good here, guys. And then as we go into the future here, the kind of future energy. We have a Knight of Cups, we have a Page of Wands, we have the Four of Cups, and then we have the Dominion card. So what I'm seeing here is, although this passionate start is going to really, I think, take off quickly, I think we're going to see that energy start to slow down in the future. And I see a little bit of, like, as we go from the Knight of Wands to the Page of Wands, I see this kind of, maybe the excitement starting to fizzle out a little bit. And we're going to have to really start to evaluate what it is with this Four of Cups energy. We're seeing, like, something being ignored, kind of withdrawing away. So I think whether this is like a relationship or a new creative endeavor or possibly a new job, whatever it is, that energy is going to start to balance out. And I wouldn't say that it's in a bad way. I would say that you're starting to use more discernment. You started off strong, you got the thing off the ground, and you're working towards it. But then you're kind of taking this step back and observing things as it happens. You're not necessarily losing passion for it. With the Page of Wands, it's still there, but that kind of immaturity thing, that immature energy kind of stepping in here. And you can look at that a couple of different ways. You can look at that as I'm very optimistic for what is going on, but it's also kind of like a discerning energy too, because these pages, they're new to the experience. So while this thing that you're diving into is going to be filled with passion as it gets going, but then I think that you're going to kind of take a step back and kind of be in your own energy and kind of watch these things develop. And with that being said, there's nothing wrong with not having the same amount of intensity when something gets going. Obviously, when we're really excited about something, it's easier to kind of dive in and want to work on it 100% and want to do these things. But at the same time, you can't have 100% momentum all the time. So it's only natural that there's going to be an equilibrium in this situation, and things are going to start to balance off. There's still going to be that passion involved. There's still going to be that emotional connection, whatever this is. But there's going to be some introspection, some things that you're choosing to kind of not necessarily take a back seat, but more of a bird's eye view of what is going on, and really decipher if that is the most effective thing for you, or if you need to kind of reevaluate how you're doing things, or if there's some other components that maybe need to be added. This learning energy really coming through here, but then also this kind of like a little bit withdrawn to where you're maybe acting more on intuition as you work through whatever the situation is. I see a little bit of reflecting on that past energy. It's like, hey, I don't want to be making the same mistakes that I observed in the past. Am I, I got this off the ground so quickly. Am I still in that energy? Am I still aware of that this is the best way to move forward? And it's just kind of a moment of respite, if you will. A moment of observation to kind of say, all right, am I still on the right path? Am I still learning from whatever I brought from my previous situation, or am I the Wheel of Fortune, or am I simply just being hesitant because I'm careful because of things that haven't worked out in the past? And with this Wheel of Fortune card, I definitely see the things going in your favor. And actually, this is a very profound energy. Like, I get such a heightened sense of awareness from you guys with whatever you're working through here. You haven't let the setbacks cause you to lose like a luster for your passions or what it is that you're pursuing. But at the same time, you don't want those lessons that you've learned, that knowledge and wisdom that you've gained, to not be utilized within the current situation. And that is, like I said, a very mature energy, and that's a very good way of looking at things. So for those of you that this is resonating with, very proud of you, very grounded to be able to dive into something with 100% enthusiasm, but then also have the wisdom to observe it as it's going on and think of, is there anything that needs to be changed? Five of Swords. So this could be indicative of when you start to pause. You might see this Five of Swords energy as, oh, I've dealt with something similar to this in the past. I've learned from this mistake. Am I the one, am I attempting to repeat a cycle and I just wasn't aware? Was I a little bit on my high horse? Were things going too well? Alternatively to that, with any endeavor that you're going to do, whether it's working on your passion, your purpose, a new job, whatever it is, you start off with that excitement and it's beautiful and it makes you feel good, and things can be going your way, but there's always going to be difficulties, and there's no reason to let these difficulties, Three of Wands, there's no reason to let, and this kind of just goes with what I'm saying, there's no reason to let this manifest in self-doubt. And in fact, when you're kind of taking that bird's eye view of your life, your situation, and you're really trying to apply the lessons you've learned, you're trying to be in the moment, but at the same time, as you're enjoying that moment, you're trying to be aware, you're trying to be conscious of the fact that maybe you specifically, you struggle with a certain thing in like a relationship or a career where you start to have like this kind of burnout feeling, or you kind of have this second guessing energy of, am I on the right path? Is this right? Am I repeating cycles? And there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of times, people demonize the idea of the self-reflection as, oh, you're doubting yourself, you need to trust in yourself. But we have to have discernment in this area. We have to be willing to say, evaluate our progress thus far, and if I continue in this way, am I still going towards what I want? Or is this maybe a good time to start veering off, change the process, change the people involved, change things to where I'm getting a more appropriate outcome for what I think I deserve, or what my highest purpose really is. So don't get discouraged, King of Cups. So we've seen that Knight of Cups, that Ace of Cups into a Knight of Cups, into a King of Cups. And the beauty of the King of Cups is being so secure within yourself, and it's being in touch with the emotional give and take. It's being in touch with your expectations. It's being able to have the discernment of orienting tasks in a certain way to where you reach the desired outcome without sacrificing kind of that stoic energy, the conservation of emotion. You have it there when you want to use it, but it's also not your only resource. So I really like that showing up here. And it kind of just adds to that air of sitting back and kind of observing the things that you've put into place, and putting love here, but maybe being stern here, and really, really nice balance here going into the future. Want one more card here just to kind of tie this together. Very positive reading, guys. For those of you that this resonates with, I just want to encourage you to really try to stay in this energy. This is such a profound energy of, learning from past mistakes, but also not losing that sense of freedom, that sense of pursuing life and pursuing things that are important to you. And so often when we have these tough situations that we have to walk away from, it's so easy to focus on the negative. But if you can find the silver lining within these situations to where you're like, okay, things weren't perfect before, but I'm so much wiser, I'm so much better off now, being in a position of, I know what it is that I want, and I'm willing to take the necessary steps to get there, and not sacrifice whatever it is that I'm pursuing. Three of Pentacles. So this is, kind of that sense of camaraderie. This is, this can actually be applied to what I was talking about with the King of Cups, where you have that discernment of, deviating tasks, or getting people to kind of step into your lead, into your energy, into what it is that you're wanting to do, but then also having that ability to work in harmony and to utilize those other people around us to really fortify what it is that we're going towards. So, the interesting thing about this is I see such a steadfast energy for those of you that this is resonating with. I see I see like this passion that can't be stifled. This ability to learn from the past, this ability to step into what it is that you really want, and the ability to kind of take that ultimate perspective of, there's going to be issues. There's going to be times where I'm doubting where I'm going. There's going to be times where I have to evaluate if this is the best course, but I see you staying the course, and I see you utilizing those around you to really make this a fulfilling situation and to ultimately get where it is that you're trying to go. So, good job, guys. Stay in that energy. It's beautiful. It's not easy. Having that kind of, it's almost detachment in a way, but not exactly, because you're willing to invest the passion, you're willing to invest the emotion, but with that being said, you're also not afraid to kind of detach a little bit, to kind of look away and to see how you need to move the pieces on the chessboard in order to really manifest what it is that you're trying to accomplish. So, I'm going to go ahead and pull two of the advice cards. So we have the porcupine. You may defend yourself honorably without hurting those close to you. And we have the sloth. Consider the smallness of your needs and treasure what you possess. And honestly, guys, this is just, I wouldn't say that this necessarily ties the reading together. But it's important things to kind of add on to this as you're sitting in this King of Cups energy, to where you're kind of observing things, but also having the ability to invest when needed, the ability to move things around, that sort of thing. The porcupine is encouraging you to defend yourself, to allow yourself to set those boundaries. And this can be important when we look at those past energies of when things didn't work out. A lot of times when things don't work out, it is a direct manifestation of our boundaries. It could be that we enforce very strong boundaries and someone didn't like it. It caused them to kind of retreat because they didn't quite have the power over you that they thought they did or that they wanted to. But it can also work the other way. Sometimes we can have these such tight boundaries on ourselves where we're so guarded and we're so reserved and we don't want to let anyone in because we have those strong boundaries. But this calls for evaluating where those boundaries come from. If they're coming from a healthy place of keeping yourself centered and aligned, then perfectly fine. However, don't be afraid to kind of let some people in once they pass that discernment test. Don't be afraid to let some people in and uh, and let them kind of move that boundary a little bit and allow them to kind of feel your energy. And then you can always make adjustments as you go. But this is saying you can defend yourself without hurting those close to you. So when you set those boundaries, if that's really pushing someone away, then they're probably not meant to be in your immediate energy because they don't respect those boundaries and they don't respect the time that it takes to kind of lower some of those walls and lower those boundaries to where they can get a closer look at really who you are and what you're coming from. So if you encounter that energy and they get really offended by that, then guys, they're probably not meant to be in your life, and that is okay. Those boundaries are important. We put them in place for a reason, but don't be afraid to lower your guard on occasion, because especially with this Three of Pentacles showing up, there's going to be a need for others as you work through whatever this is. So don't be completely shut off and guarded to where you're in the King of Cups. You don't get into that King of Swords energy to where you become non-approachable because people don't know exactly what it is, and you're so quick to defend yourself and you're so quick to push people away. That being said, nothing wrong with boundaries. Continue setting them. The sloth. Consider the smallness of your needs and treasure what you possess. So this can be profound because this is essentially saying, we only need a very little. We have very few needs, but we have many wants. And as you're manifesting this, be sure to draw attention to the things that you truly need out of, whether it's a connection, whether it's pursuing a passion, a job, whatever, and kind of put those wants to the side for now. The wants, they will gain momentum as we progress through this situation and as you become, fully embodied in this situation to where you can start making some moves, you can start, doing some other things. Then we can start focusing on some of the other things that aren't necessarily needs. But this is encouraging you to really focus on having needs met first before we go into wants. And this could even be an idea if this is like some sort of career pursuit or some sort of like new passion pursuit, that sort of thing. This is encouraging you to be sure that the needs are met. You might have to rough it a little bit if you're starting your own business and you've walked away from a job. You may need to reassess what it is that you actually need, because finances might be tough. This might be a transitional phase to where you don't have the time to do a lot of things that you want, but you're going to need to address your needs and the things that are actually bringing you fulfillment in that moment that are important to the overall success of whatever this situation is. So that being said, guys, I hope you got something out of the reading. If you did enjoy it, it'd be great if you would subscribe, leave a comment if this resonated, leave a comment about, what part of your life that this resonated with. And if I get that feedback, then I think that this will kind of guide these collective messages going forward. And also for those of you that want to subscribe, like I said, we'll be going live here in the next week or so, 2 weeks. And I'm really looking forward to that. The plan is to kind of go through all 12 signs, more specific readings. But like I said at the beginning, I just received the message that to do just kind of a general, and then it would resonate with those that it was supposed to resonate with. So I really hope that you guys enjoy that, and hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you.